blood pouring through vomit. And if that were the worst of it, he would be glad. But no, he also felt dizzy and wondered whether or not he was going to faint. Can you guess where this poor college student was headed? That's right, he was headed to the testing center, the dreaded testing center. This scenario is actually quite common for many college students. In fact, many juniors and seniors still struggle with things of this nature, the test taking. And so this is something that doesn't need to be. I myself, when I started high school, well, I wasn't too terribly great at test taking. Many people weren't. But as I learned different study techniques and I continued onward in school, I began to learn more. This was greatly accelerated when I came to college as a psychology major. Studying the mind and memory and how these things work has greatly improved my ability to take a test. And a lot of times I can walk into a testing center and not even be too terribly stressed. I usually feel a great deal of peace, reassurance, confidence. And so these are things that can be learned. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. Alright? And the good thing is, this is not just a subject that's going to help you while you're here at school. This is something for everybody. Alright? The techniques that we're going to go over, these help a lot with stress management, which is huge in our day and age. They're finding that high blood pressure, different physical problems, these all stem from different forms of stress and bad eating habits, which once again compound themselves. And so this is something that everybody really does need, okay? So the main benefit of learning how to study and take exams is we get better physical health, mental health, and time management. More time is always nice, isn't it? Okay. So for the physical health, an interesting statistic says that for students who sleep less than 5 hours, they actually are 4.5 times more likely to get sick than students who sleep at least 7 hours. And so this is important in test-taking time, right? Nobody wants to be sick with the flu right before an exam. It's terrible. And so physically, it's important that we learn how to study effectively so we have time to sleep, and so that we can plan our day correctly, okay? So also stress. Stress is a huge thing as well, all right? A little bit of stress is actually good for us. If we take that little bit of stress and we use it so that we don't procrastinate too badly, that's great. That can help us study. That can help us get study plans going. That little bit of stress is good. However, if we let that stress get out of control, and it becomes a chronic stress, a stress that lasts weeks and is constantly on our mind and takes away our sleep and our health, that kind of stress is detrimental and is not consistent with good study-taking skills. Okay? So we're going to go over study-taking skills, which is going to help us understand how to study correctly so that we don't feel so much stress and have better time management, right? So all of these things give us peace of mind, which is huge, okay? That peace of mind brings us to our second point. That peace of mind brings us, there we go. That peace of mind helps us with our mental health, all right? That mental health is very, very serious for study. The mind is where we create memories, correct? And so if your mind is not doing well, your ability to create memories is not doing well. Sharp. All right? So number one, sleep. Just sleep. All right? And a really good tip. If you're having a difficult subject, study that subject well, and then take a 30-minute nap. 15 to 30-minute nap. Okay, don't sleep over 30 minutes because then that isn't very good. You wake up groggy and it's not good. But if you take a small nap after study, your mind will take that information you just learned and put it into your long term. And it'll start creating paths in your mind to better remember the things that you're studying. Same thing for studying at night. The best time to study is at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 4 o'clock in the morning. I would study at 2 personally. I don't like waking up at 4 in the morning. These are the 2 best times for you to study. This is when your mind is the most active and when it has the most retention ability. Okay? Alright. So along with that, we're also going to go over some different study techniques, and these are going to help us as well, okay? Alright, so the other technique that we should be doing is when you are sitting down and studying, you need to be studying in a place that is similar to where you're taking the test. This will aid in memory recall. This is actually a really cool principle that we learned about. Alright, so for example, if I'm studying in the middle of a rock concert and then I go to the silent testing center, my memory recall will be much worse than if I were to simply study at the library and then go to the testing center. When you study something in one environment and then you try to recall that information in a similar environment, the closer they are together, the better you will remember your materials. Very important. Cannot stress that enough. Okay? Third, we're also going to be taught. Okay. Third, when you are going to study, do not just go over your notes. Okay? This is the worst study technique there is, up to date. Okay? Well, maybe not the worst, but it's pretty darn bad. Okay? There are plenty of great study techniques. Do not just read your notes and say that that was your study. Okay? The way to actually study is you write notes and you leave lots of gaps in between the notes that you are taking. Alright? So if you're in a lecture, you're taking notes. You're going along, taking notes, leaving lots of gaps everywhere. Alright? When you're done with the lecture, take a 15-minute break. Stop. Go get water. Use the bathroom. Get comfy. Then sit down, and then immediately, as you are reading your notes, add as much detail to each note that you have taken as possible. As you take your brain and you say, hey, remember everything about this that you can, and as you begin to load that on paper, that recall goes crazy, and your retention is unbelievable. Instead of remembering only about 10% of what happened in the lecture, you'll remember closer to 45 to 60%, depending on how good you get at this. You'll remember much more. And this is powerful for the test. So this is a critical piece. Take out your notes 15 minutes after you're done taking them, and then add to them. Add everything that you can. And as you continue to add, you'll be surprised at how much you remember. It's amazing. Great, great technique. Okay? So now we're going to go over actual techniques to study. We've gone over the basics of how to set things up. Now we're going to go over into actual study techniques. Okay? We're going to start off with chunking. Then we're going to go to other mnemonics. Personally, I really like acronyms. So we're going to talk about that one. And then we're also going to go over mental imagery and trying to combine the three of those to create the best study that we can. Okay? So first off is chunking. As an example, we'll take a biology student. Alright? They need to memorize all the bones in the human body, 206 of them. Alright? So what we're going to do is we're going to take those 206 bones and we're going to organize them so that they're in like groups. For example, all the hand bones, head bones, torso bones, so on and so forth. Alright, we're going to chunk that information and put it in different categories. Alright, so that's a really good way to do things, chunking. Then, we're going to do acronyms. Alright, so for example, if all the hand bones or if the first letter of all the hand bones could be rearranged to say, Aunt Sally likes kisses, for example. When you go to the studies or to the test-taking center, you can remember Aunt Sally likes kisses. You get into the testing center, you take out a piece of paper, you write down the acronym, and then you write out the name of each bone. This is chunking and acronyms combined. Powerful strategy. Super great. Amazing. And here's the really cool thing. You take the chunking, the mnemonics, and then you also take mental imagery, and you have a powerful study technique. Okay? So what you do is, you do everything I just told you. You chunk it, you make acronyms, and then you do a visual walkthrough of a place that you know really well. We'll use a house, for example. Alright? Your house. Alright? Think about your house. When you are doing mental imagery, Essentially, you'll close your eyes and you'll imagine your house with as much detail as possible. Imagine that you're at the front door, the color of the door, what the door handle looks like, and then suddenly, oh, hey, instead of the door handle, that's the wrist phone. And you start, and what you do is you open up the door and you go through the house and you begin to relabel things that you know about. You rename them. And as you do that, you go through your house and you do, and when I say mental imagery, I mean you imagine that you are walking through your house, okay? Imagine that you're actually going through your whole home and that you're replacing different items all throughout your home. I mean, replace the door handle with a humorous phone or something, right? If you do this, and you also apply that to the memo or to the acronyms and to the chunking, this will greatly enhance your ability to recall information later. Okay? So those are the 3 study techniques we just went over. If you want to know more, there are tons of books that teach this. Tons of them. It's where I learned most of my techniques. I learned a couple of them in psychology class, but reading books is great. So I definitely recommend that. Okay? These techniques bring you peace of mind, but the really cool thing is they also save you time. Let's say you have 10 pages of notes, right? You chunk it, and then you just create acronyms out of everything. Your 10 pages of notes starts looking a lot like 1 to 2 pages of notes. The amount of time that you save on that is crazy. And that amount of time that you save can be used for sleep or other things that you need to do. Okay? And so all of these really come together to give you better time management. We've mentioned that multiple times because it's important. Okay? So with the time management, this is going to assist with you. Well, really, we already went over it. It's going to assist with that. Really. It'll give you more time with your family. It'll bring peace of mind, better health practices, all of it. Okay? And so when these techniques are learned, practiced, and applied, they lead to a much more satisfying and healthy college experience. I would say life experience. It just makes things better. It's so much nicer. Okay? As we have seen, these strategies and methods are important to retaining better physical health, mental health, and time management. Regardless of our age, occupation, social status, we all want to live better lives. We all want to have a better quality of life. And so we really can't afford to just sit around or to continue doing the same things we've always done. It does take some effort to learn and to read these books and to really practice and employ these methods. But if you do, your quality of life will greatly increase. And so, we really cannot afford to be too lazy to do these things. When you do them, they save you so much. So, again, all of this is so important to the college experience. And so, I recommend that everybody do the following as well. Read the books, practice it, and you can't go wrong.